Greetings fellow Vita fans, and once again I'm coming at you with another exciting video. Okay, so the following Patreon question comes from Mal S. Chief, and they ask, do you think we will get a PlayStation Vita 2 with the release of the PlayStation 5, considering Sony might want to compete with Nintendo, or do you think they have lost trust with the fan base by not putting much effort into the first PlayStation Vita? Alright, excellent question, Mal. So what do I think about this? Will there be a PlayStation Vita 2? I gotta say is that I feel like we're kind of in a very interesting moment in time with Sony these days. We have one part of the company saying no, they're not interested in the handheld market anymore and there's just no profit in it, and then at the same time we also have another side of the company saying, well, we can't ignore what the Nintendo Switch is doing. Now, putting all these facts together as well as their decisions in the past, will there be a PlayStation Vita 2? My answer to that would probably be yes. I believe there will be a PlayStation Vita 2 or a PSP 3, I think, if depending on how you want to word it. Will it be coming out anytime soon? That's where I think no, I don't believe so. And the reason why I come to that decision is because it has a major part to do with Sony's recent decisions back a few months ago. Now, if we go back in history, protocol usually dictates that whenever a video game company wants to make a successor to one of their consoles or handhelds, they do so by bringing out the new console during the old console's lifespan, and then as time goes on they slowly start discontinuing the old console or handheld while focusing on the new system, which, you know, makes all the sense in the world from a business perspective. They want to bring a new console out to the market, but at the same time they don't want to alienate their older fan base either, because we got to remember, not everybody buys consoles or handhelds day one. With the PlayStation Vita, however, you notice how they kind of did the opposite in a way. They discontinued the PlayStation Vita carts in North America and Europe slightly before E3, and then once E3 came, we didn't hear anything about a PlayStation Vita successor. So for me, that's what kind of leads me to believe that during this moment in time, they aren't really interested in making a standalone handheld anyway. Now, that doesn't mean I don't believe that they won't be making any kind of handheld, so to speak. And what I mean by that is, and this goes back to Mel's question, is do you think it'll have anything to do with the PlayStation 5? That I think we have a very high possibility of. Now, a lot of fans are speculating, could it be that maybe the PlayStation 5 will be a hybrid, you know, both the console and a handheld, much like the Nintendo Switch? Possibly. In my mind, however, and this is just more of a what-if scenario, picture, if you will, what Sony could possibly accomplish if they brought out a PlayStation 5 standalone console and a PlayStation 5 portable standalone console, or handheld, I guess in this case. Some people may think like, oh, that's probably not a good idea because it'll split the market. And yeah, that's a fair argument, but I would also like to point out that although that could possibly be the case, they wouldn't really have to be splitting things up, because all they would have to do, both Sony and the third-party developers, is just make PlayStation 5 games and it's compatible with both systems. So they wouldn't have to think like, okay, what do we want to do? We got to bring this game to the PlayStation 5, but then, oh, we also got to port it to a handheld. This way there would be no problems. All they'd have to do is just make the game and be compatible with both systems, since they would be running off the same tech. But again, that's just an idea that I have running in my mind, and trust me, my mind can be a very scary place to be in. Heck, even I don't get it sometimes. Okay, now moving on to Mal's other question, do I think that the PlayStation Vita fan base has lost trust in Sony? Possibly to a degree. I still think the fan base is very strong though. I mean, you hear fans asking all the time that they want a PlayStation Vita 2 or a PSP 3. I hear it all the time, almost on a daily basis on some forums. And while Sony has had their fair share of mishaps, I mean, what company doesn't really when you get right down to it, I don't think they've been substantial enough to where they would have lost complete faith in them. Case in point, if you look at companies like Sega, for instance, they made so many add-ons with their systems back in the 90s that when they finally did make an awesome console, that being the Dreamcast and even the Sega Saturn, they were wonderful systems. I love those, but the fan base was kind of waning their trust in them. I don't think Sony is quite there yet. I know there were some releases such as the PSP Go, which was an all-downloadable system and didn't have any kind of slot for a physical game, as well as the PlayStation 3 not having the strongest launch, but other than that, I don't think Sony is at a point yet to where they have to worry about a PlayStation Vita 2 not being accepted by its fan base, or heck, even the mainstream for that matter. Just please, Sony, if you ever do make a PlayStation Vita 2, please advertise it and support it. That's all you gotta do. Do that and you'll pretty much be guaranteed a successful handheld. Alright, excellent question again, Mal. Let me know, guys, what do you think about all this? I'd love to hear your opinions. Do you agree with some of my points? Do you think that I'm totally off my rocker? Because yeah, I've been known to be off my rocker from time to time. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. Let's turn this one to a big discussion. What are some of your theories? What ideas would you have for Sony if they were to make a new handheld? I would love to know down in the comments below. And as always, fellow Vita fans, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It really means a lot to me. Love you all, and I'll see you next time.